What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the Altar again, and this time we are finally here. We got Glen Benton of the almighty Deicide. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you here, man. This new album, Banished by Sin, is absolutely epic. Was this intended to just be sort of like a continuation or like a sequel to Overtures of Blasphemy, or was this meant to be kind of like a new uncharted territory for Deicide?
I was having this conversation with somebody a little while ago about, because, things come to light and that. But for me, what I do, I'm like like a coach of a sports team, and that I have to, in order to get where I want to be, I have to, because for me, this is a progress in work. You know what I mean? I don't, I'm constantly looking to improve on what I do. I'm not one for like sitting in a particular spot for too long. I just want for this. I just really, man, we're at a good place now, man. As far as like the people in the band and yeah, I'm finally at that place, man. And I just, I'm management of the band, and it's my job to make, this thing better, and that's all I try to do is just improve on what I've done.
Yeah, and you know what? You most certainly do that because "Compliments of Christ" off the last album is probably my favorite Deicide song to this day because I just feel opening up with all of my life I hated you so, wished every day you would die. Like that to me, like I've always said that in death metal, you're always the best with the opening lines as well. With "In the Minds of Evil, some men just want to watch the world burn" is really just a great way of just leading you into this darkness. And I feel like that with Banished by Sin, you continue that. For people who haven't heard the album yet, though, do you feel like that the songs we heard, such as Sever the Tongue or Bury the Cross with Your Christ, is like a good representation of this whole album, or is that just one little taste of what's to come?
I think that's just a taste of it. I think the real aggression comes after the release date. I think people are, for me, it's like all four of us wrote the record. So each one of us have three songs that we contributed to the writing of the album. And it brings it's, for me, I like doing it like that now instead of having one particular person writing everything. Because it becomes redundant after a while, and it becomes stagnant for myself and that. So I just want to just keep, pursuing, getting better at our craft. And I think when you hear the other songs and that, I can't wait. I've been sitting on this for so long. I just can't wait for people to hear it. And, not just a couple songs, because you really don't, you don't get the whole taste of the whole album with just a couple songs. But
Yeah.
we're gonna drop From Unknown Heights You Shall Fall. That video should be dropping here soon. So
Hell yeah, can't wait to see that one. Do you feel like when you enter the making of an album in a way, because I feel like there are things about Legion or Once Upon the Cross, Till Death Do Us Apart, etc., that have things that make them sort of stand out in a way. I feel like, Deicide is a band where it's always going to bring death metal, but it's always going to throw little tricks and twists that keep me on my toes in a way. Do you enter the creative process with sort of a vision in mind in a way, or is it a very like improvisational songwriting process?
for me personally, it's like every record is like a chapter of my life. You know what I mean? Things that are going around that are like current. You know what I mean in my life. And like the new records. With all the new. With the AI and all the other shit going on in this world and the whole woke thing and the whole ghosting of people and all that bullshit. It's like you read that, like it's in the lyrics and that, because I'm keeping it current with the times as far as like, because it's like I'm living in this moment myself too. So I kind of write for the moment, what's going on, and things from, either social things or just my personal life, it's mainly, like I said, I've had to say, I write for my personal self and, from my inner being, whatever does all the speaking for me and that. But it's always like something current or going around, like Till Death, I was going through that nasty, huge fucking mess in my life. And that record was really, it's like a lot of metaphors. I use a lot of metaphors, like, and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
It fits well, you know.
Yeah, and mentioning the AI with this album, I thought like lyrically there was almost kind of like a little Fear Factory sort of twist in there as
No,
well.
we wrote all the lyrics in that. I was speaking about the artwork itself, because everybody's flipping out about the artwork and that. And it's like, it's ridiculous because it's like my artist jeweler, uh, he designed the. I mean, this guy is like, he comes from the same village as H.R. Geiger in Switzerland. So I mean, he's a a special effects artist and stuff like that. So like everybody was up, and I don't do this. I don't shit in the same place twice, man. You know what I'm saying? And I like to keep things different, and I don't do things for other people's enjoyment. I do them for my own enjoyment. And if you enjoy my enjoyment, then we're all on the same page. I mean, I can't take everybody's input in the world. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not God. You're not praying to me. I don't hear your prayers. You know what I mean?
Well,
and I truly don't give a fuck about your prayers or your opinions. So I do things to please my own self and the guys around me. And yeah, man, we just love it, man, the way everything came out for this record, including the artwork. And like I say, did we use a little AI? Sure, we did. We cleaned up the edges with it and that, but it was Photoshop, man. I mean, it's the same shit. I did 3 album covers on a computer now. My first album was just some shitty picture of a medallion with some light on it, shining off the edges. You know what I mean? It's like, it's called art for a reason. You know what I mean? But
thank you.
Like, and I don't want to offend any of the artists in the world, and that was not my intention, was to upset people in that capacity, but to make people think, man, because that's the age that we live in now. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, if I lived in the 1800s, maybe I would put a picture of my wagon and my cow on the front of the fucking album cover, but we don't live in those times now. Mm-hmm. This is the age that we live in. So I create visuals along with the, the lyrical stuff here and that to take you somewhere.
Yeah.
And so if I own your ass for 40 minutes or whatever and that, it all just comes together, man. You know?
Definitely, 100%. I think your albums are a true work of art in a way because you're invoking discussion and you're creating an experience that can't be experienced anywhere else. So I think in the end, and by the way, as a painter myself and as somebody who does create art myself, I think AI, like you're right. When Photoshop first became a thing, people were saying the same exact stuff. When the camera was first invented, people were saying the same thing. I mean,
right. Well, like when I did Legion. It was like nobody in their fucking right mind would have thought to use digital artwork like that at that time. And because I wanted to create a 3-dimensional image. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but not a lot of artists are particularly good with creating 3-dimensional things. That's a particular, art form in itself, and I couldn't find anybody at the time to create that image that I had in my head. But this computer, guy up the street who did computer graphics design, he knew how to do it for me. So he was able to bring my idea to fruition. And that's all it is. With the new album, the record label wanted a modern day 2024 medallion to like introduce the next chapter of this band and to more modernize it. And it goes along with all the other stuff, that the merch and the jewelry and all the other shit that goes along with it and that. But, people that first look at it, I say, man, it's a mixed bag of tricks. But, I can't I can't make every record a scribble artist's dream. You know what I mean? And I can't wait 6 months to a year to get a piece of artwork that I don't like and I'm not happy with. So I do what I do what I think is best all the way around, managed tutorial for this band.
You mentioned,
so I try to make,
you mentioned that you wanted to capture a moment, and I think not just Banished by Sin, but every record does in fact capture that moment. But when you're working on something for a long period of time, and you sit on something for such a long time, is it hard to sort of maintain that initial spark or the initial idea of that album in a way?
Well, I'm gonna say, man, like this record deal, what we got, we have a 1-record album deal with RPM. And for that, I mean, we had the album written already before we ever got a record deal for it. So that for us it's like when people say how this album reminds them of the earlier stuff and that, um, we didn't have any record company breathing down our necks. We were just creating songs that we thought were heavy, just like we did back in the day. And we didn't have, no deadlines, none of that shit involved. So we were writing it, just to make ourselves happy and not under any kind of time constraints. And because that right there, for me personally, takes a lot of the fun out of it for me, is that to have, that I've got some multi-album deal hanging over my head, and that really just, for me, it just, sucks the life out of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you and when it comes to, you said that a lot of what we hear in Deicide is an external metaphor for personal experiences that you've had, and when we listen to Homage for Satan, or we listen to In the Minds of Evil or whatnot, do you feel that other people's experiences also add another layer of meaning or context to it? I know you said I don't answer your prayers, but people do
Well,
find.
I think I speak to, like I say, what I do a lot is that the thoughts that I have and I've had in my life are usually the same thoughts that all other human beings have had. So when I say something or use a metaphor or say something that I've thought before, that, I mean, these people can reflect to that. They pick up on it, because a lot of the time they're like, wow, I've had that thought before, or I've thought that same thing before, I've said that to myself before. And like I say, I hit on those. I'm only human, man. You know what I mean? I just write from I don't know where it comes from. People ask me, I don't know where it comes from. If I try to tell you where it come from, I couldn't ever write again. I don't know. I just sit down and put the headphones on, and I just let it come out of me, and what comes out comes out. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great. But
Do you, when though, like personal experiences, like when darkness, and this is a conversation I ask a lot of people, when darkness is sort of like the fuel to your fire, especially rooted in experience, as we've seen with Till Death or Stench of Redemption or whatnot, do you find the songwriting process to be just as deteriorating as it can be cathartic? I've always said that when darkness is like the fuel to our fire, we can sometimes become victimized by our own products sometimes.
man, I don't think we put that much thought into it. Completely honest, you know what? I sit down on the couch or wherever, and with my couch bass, and I write some songs, and I bring them to practice. We put them together. I sit down, I write lyrics. It's the same thing for all of us, everybody writes their songs, brings them to practice. When you write a piece of music, man, it's a part of you, and everybody, writes music differently, interprets music differently, and that's what gives our records character. Is that you don't have just one person writing just one mundane beat, or I mean, I can't listen to that kind of music. I try, but I can't. I need variety when I listen to a metal band. I want to hear something different. Like, I don't want to drop band names, but there's some bands out there, classic, that but not every song sounds the same.
Yeah, of course. And
Has a little bit of.
yeah. Well, I think like it's funny because a lot of people think that your albums are very much concept albums. They look at the artwork, they look at the way that each song flows into another. So it is funny. Like, I'm actually shocked when you say you don't put that much thought into it, because it sounds like the technical proficiency combined with the thought-provoking aspects behind it. That's pretty funny.
It's just, like I say, man, it's just me and whatever like I say, a lot of, I've done all the album covers, and all been my shit, and I do all that stuff, man. That's my gig. And I can say, man, it comes together like that because that's just how I put things together. Where it's like, when I look at it, like, okay, here's the probably Stench of Redemption. You know what I mean? It's like you put the whole thing together, and yeah, that record looks like it's a concept album. But it's really it's just the hard work of a lot of great people, man.
Yeah, definitely. And also for your bass playing as well, because I think that the way that you contribute musically with your rhythm and melody is also very impressive as well. But when it comes to writing bass parts, is it better to sort of have like riffs like already present to know what to play, or has the band ever wrote like riffs over your bass parts?
Well, this record I had to get, I had to give everybody these two guys the pep talk that it's like because some of the songs I wrote on my bass, and like I had to tell them that it's like I give you the melody. It's up to you as the guitar player to be innovative and play something on top of what I'm giving you to make it your own. And yeah, man, Taylor really picked up on that what I was saying there and that, and I think Kevin came into it too, because it's like I say, man. I mean, do I have to wipe your ass too? I mean, come on, man. Here it is. Here's the melody. Okay, you get where I'm going with it. You see the intensity that I'm playing it at. You know what I mean? Throw a guitar riff to it that just isn't, following what the fuck I'm doing. You know what I mean? Throw a little bit of, improvisation to it, and that's, like I say, man, that inspires people to do great things, man, when you leave it open like that,
100%. Nobody's going to babysit you, even when you are in a band. You got to be able to show that you have the power within yourself to bring something new as well.
Listen, man, this is, like I say, this band is all about what you bring to the table, so if when I make decisions on personnel changes and stuff like that, it isn't just it is absolutely nothing personal, man. It's just I'm always looking at the greater good,
Definitely
improving, and I like I say, I'm no angel, like I say, but in this stage of my life, man, this for me is about having fun and enjoying myself and not being stressed out by other people's behavior or their lack of. And like I say, man, I just want to go out and do my job and have a good time doing it.
So this question may kind of have the similar results of me just overthinking all of your music, but do you express yourself as a vocalist the same way that you express yourself as a bassist, or does one instrument maybe express a different side of yourself in a way?
It's weird for me, man. It's a totally different. When I play bass and vocalize, it's completely different than standing up there trying to vocalize without a guitar in my hand. I've been doing it for so long. It's like I feel naked up there trying to do my, and when I'm in the studio, like this album, I did one song a day. I didn't go in and do like 3, 4, or 5 songs like I used to. I wanted to have that ferociousness every day, and it worked out great because I'd come in, do a song, and then take the rest of the day off, and then the next day come in and smash another one out, and just had that brutality every day in my voice. And previous projects, it's like, because you're under time restraints, and money is time, time is money, and all that bullshit. Yeah, you go in there, and it's like I say, man, this go around, I was able to do it my way all the way around, and I think it shows in the product.
Do you believe inspiration? This is sort of like a debate I have with artists. Do you believe inspiration, to get that creative energy, you could actually seek that out and go out looking for it, or do you just kind of have to let it strike you?
Man, you know what? I can say, man, I've had it's been a weird fucking, it's been a weird 10 years of my life, man. So, I can say, man, I've had some moments of clarity and awakenings, or whatever you want to call it, in that, and I've had some people that come into my life that have inspired me and really, man, like set me like straight, on things, and that kind of stuff inspires me. It gives me motivation. It's motivated me. There was a lot of it, a lot of motivational, stuff going on for this record and that, because for me, it's therapeutic, man, to be able to write lyrics and, get stuff out and that. And there's a couple of songs on this record where I was able to say things that, I understand them, people around me understand them and that. But, yeah, man, I love my job.
I got to tell you too, a Deicide death metal show is I've seen all the Morbid Angels and the Cannibal Corpses and Obituaries live. There's something about a Deicide show that I've always found distinct in a way where, first off, I will say that I laughed when you guys played at the Brooklyn Monarch a couple summers ago. I laughed the entire show when you came up on stage and said, "Wait, there's still people that live here? I thought you all moved to Florida." That was the best opening line to any concert ever.
Yeah, I'm the king of the one-liners, man. I don't take this serious, man, because it's like, if you I mean, I know guys that do this shit, and they're like, they take it too serious, man. It's really not. This life is too short to be taking something like this. It's supposed to be fun, man. You know. So I don't like. It's okay to have a joke or two on stage and you know, pick fun at things and. So.
I think a lot of people are going to watch this and be very surprised out of all the people, because I've seen like bands that don't sound as heavy as you are, whether they're like, you know, soft rock bands or metalcore bands or something like that, say the complete opposite of what you're saying, and you're one of the heaviest bands of all time. So
you know what it is a lot of it stems from backstage, what's going on before the show, and I'm usually back there just cracking jokes and being stupid and making, you know. And yeah, and it's sometimes it spills out on stage, you know, and you gotta have a sense of humor. I mean, you go out there and like early on in my career, man, Us and Cannibal played this place called the Electric Banana up in Pittsburgh. It was like this club that was like on the side of a mountain, and I had a guy recently come up to me. He was like, "Dude, I was like one of those 6 guys that were at that show," and you get up there on stage and you play for 6 to 8 people or whatever. I mean, that's a humbling shit, man. You know what I mean? When you're starting out in your career and that. So like I say, I know it all. I've experienced it all, and you have to have somewhat of a sense of humor about this, because if you know, I mean, if you take this shit too personally, man, you just won't last in this business, man.
100%. It's so good to hear you say that, and thank you. I think out of all of the bands I've interviewed, one of the most satanic bands has the most positive message, and I think this just defied any unfair assumption, you know?
I see bands out there, man. It's like at festivals and that, and I don't want to name names and that, but it's like, dude, it's like, you know, punch the time clock, bro, and go, you know what I mean? Clock out, okay? You're off the clock now, you know? It's like, yeah, I've seen a lot of funny shit, man, but I don't, I try to be me 24 hours a day, even when I'm doing that, and this just keeps a level of realness to it, and that, I mean, if there's some things I can't stand in this world, is that whole rock star mentality and people that don't shake fans' hands and shit like that. I don't give a fuck how much of a germaphobe you claim to be and shit. That person has been, you know, buying your records and enjoying your art form. And if you can't exchange at least a fucking something as simple as a fucking handshake or a thank you, yeah, I just can't. I don't come from that era, man.
Yeah.
So.
Bless you for that. Bless you for that. And, or I don't know if that's the right word, but
I've had my moments. Listen, man, I've had my moments. I remember some kid at a show recently. I don't want to fucking, you know, but he came to the show and he holds up, you know, like fucking puts a bootleg in my face to sign. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, man. You know what I mean? It's like, out of all the fucking things to put in my face, you want to stick a bootleg in my face and want me to sign it. You look at it and snap it over your fucking head. You know what I mean? Really? Seriously, man.
I just find it funny, the balls that person would have to.
Like, come on, man. It's like, and then you're all upset and crying all your friends that Glen Benton's a douchebag and everything. Okay, listen, I'm the first one to admit that I'm a douchebag, okay? So show up with some form of bootleg and ask me to put my name on it and validate this bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like, say, man.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite story. I've done almost 2,000 of these interviews, and this is my favorite story I've heard. So thank you.
And you know what? And then my apologies to whoever this fucking lump of shit was. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Fair enough. You heard it here. I have 2 more questions for you, if that's okay.
Right, dude.
But when you are playing a live Deicide set and you're diving from songs all over the catalog, so like first off, you'll open up with like a Legion song. Does it almost put you back into the headspace you were in 1992? If you play like a Stench of Redemption song, you feel like you're in 2006 and etc. Like, or does it feel like when you're playing an older song live, it's still very much now? If that makes sense.
I kind of look at it like. When I road bike in the morning and I'm out 15 miles away from the house, and then I turn around and I go, oh man, that's fucking 15 miles to 16 miles to go back to that. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's an endurance test. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking about, I might have a slight flashback to an ex-girlfriend's, drooping shit, but I don't I don't really think too much. For me, it's about an endurance thing. You know, I'm racing to the finish line. You know,
Yeah, because for me, like I've always said that music is the best representation of how time is relative. Because I was a total late bloomer with Deicide. In the Minds of Evil was my first Deicide album because that's when I started to really get into death metal. So like,
right?
for people like so some people says, oh, this album takes you back to 2013, but In the Minds of Evil really takes you back to 2016 when I really started getting into heavy metal, and then Stench of Redemption really took me back to 2016 when I started getting more into you. So I've always thought that that's like a good representation of how time is relative in that.
You know, it makes me feel good, man, to know that people like getting into what I do that late in the catalog. You know what I mean? It makes me feel good that me and Steve were still able to bring people in like that, and yeah, it means a lot to us, man, to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We have a lot of long time fans that came in way sooner in that, and those guys are all my age now, and it's really a mixed bag of nuts at a show anymore, man. You have all age groups there. It's a great thing, man. And
Yeah.
we've been watching this, the statistics on all the stuff and the listening audiences and all that kind of stuff right now, and it's incredible, man, that people my age are still listening to this stuff, and people the other generations, and even the younger generation, my son's generation, he's 22, I mean, even those guys are all getting into it. You go to the metal show, man, a lot of young people there, man, picking up on it. It's great, man, that this stuff is still going. Yeah. I never thought in a million years I would still be doing this, this late in life.
Yeah, I mean, hey, "Compliments of Christ" is still my favorite Deicide song, and I actually wrote, and I actually managed to transcribe it on piano too. It can be done. So,
right on.
Yeah. So, and the final question I wanted to ask you is a lot of death metal bands have been inspired by you. Like when you look at new death metal bands, Sanguisugabogg, Creeping Death, Frozen Soul, Lorna Shore, like a lot of these new bands taking inspiration from Deicide. And does that maybe also like inspire you in a way and maybe influence you when younger fans do take inspiration from what you do? Did I lose you for a second?
You're breaking up the last little bit, bro. You're froze up.
Yep, I got you back.
You're freezing up.
I got you back.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So when you see how younger bands are taking inspiration from you and take pick up on what you do and take your ideas to the next level, does that inspire you in any way, shape, or form too?
You know what, man? I mean, like I said, I really don't pay too much attention to what everybody else is doing, but I am flattered that people, enjoy our stuff enough where it inspires them to do things. I've always just been one of these things. My main thing, and I tell everybody this, and for all bands and everybody in the world, we don't have any more Lemmys anymore. We don't have any more Ronnie James Dios anymore. We have Ozzy, but Ozzy's done. I mean, we've lost all these personalities in the metal world, and those people made careers by being originators and innovators. And I think that if there's anything I want people to walk away with is to innovate and be an original. Do things, put a little bit of legwork into it. Like, lyrically and that, when I do, like I find song titles and that, I go on the internet, I make sure I'm not stepping on anybody else's toes by copying what they're doing and that. I do the homework behind, it's not just writing lyrics, it's there's a lot of work behind it. And if you put in that little bit of legwork, man, you can keep yourself and your ideas original to yourself.
Yeah. That's the best. That's some of the best advice I've heard somebody say, because they're happy.
And be yourself and take chances, man. You know what I mean? It's like it's not always going to be great, but at least if you're out there taking those chances, and man, nobody can ever say that you didn't, and you can't later in life wish you would have.
Yeah, of course. And I think, work hard, like get inspired, but also get inspired on how bands evolve, because that's how they become different. There have been times where like I want to say like, oh, let me guess what your favorite band is. The band you sound exactly alike. Like you have to, right. It's not just copying your favorite stuff by your band, but you also copying how they evolve. And that's how all these bands become different.
Well, like I say, man, it's like a lot of the newer bands, and it's like, I mean, I don't want anybody to take it personally in that, but everybody seems to want to do this whole scribble artwork, black and white shit with a logo that you can't understand and read, and that's kind of herd mentality, and I just can't follow that shit. You know what I mean? I'm just all about, what catches my attention is like when you hand me your disc, and I look at the artwork, and I go, wow, that's cool. That catches that's the first thing that catches me. Okay, so when you hand me something that's got a piece of artwork on it that I look at and go, wow, that person has an original idea that's completely different than everybody else's shit. They're thinking outside the box. That's the kind of shit that catches people like myself's attention. Not when you're doing the same fucking thing that the 60 other bands in your local town are doing. Okay, it's called about separating yourself from the others and being original. Yeah. And that's what I've always done for myself.
The most readable logo in death metal history does go to Deicide. I will say that too.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. That's literally that typeset came from the Necronomicon. So I adapted that logo from that text, from the paperback Necronomicon. That's where I adapted that. It's not exactly like that, but I adapted, from that. That's where that actually spawned the idea for the actual logo.
That's awesome. I did not know that. That's why I was so excited for this interview, to learn something new. So before we go, I want to thank you so much, not just for your time today, but thank you for this, continuing to give us amazing new music. And on a personal level, thank you for all of the inspiration. Is there just anything else with Deicide you'd like to promote?
Have you heard the whole record?
Oh, I have. I have.
All right.
Yeah. So is there just anything?
Any personal favorites at all? I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. Like, so I do love.
It's one of those records that you have to listen to it several times, man. It's just.
I love Woke from God. I do like that one. I do like Ritual Defied. And I do like The Light Defeated too. I think that's also a very unsettling track in a way. I think The Light Defeated's a great one.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But Compliments of Christ. All of my life I hated you so, wished every day you would die is the best opening lyrics to any death metal song, and I will die on that hill.
That actually implied, that was, I think, I'm not exactly, I'd have to look that one over, but when I hear you say those words, I hear my hatred for somebody, so that probably has something to do with my dislike for something or someone. So
I listen to that every time. Every time I read a headline on the fucking news that pisses me off, that's my go-to track. So, but is there just anything else with the Deicide you'd like to promote with the release of Banished?
I just can't wait for everybody to hear the new record, and I appreciate everybody's positive words and all of the other people in the world. My apologies for your fucking lack of artistic expression, So,
Fair enough.
The rest is piss off.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Glen Benton of Deicide, Banished by Sin. Pick that up. We will see you next time on Heavy New York.